Danieldialatone. We are in my living room right now because it's winter time in Chicago and it's really cold in my little office area, so I'm doing this little thing out here. This guy sent in this pair of Project Studio 6 speakers. I shot them out against my newly modified KRK Rocket 5s, which you can see on top of the V8s right there. Now these V8s, the Rocket 5s, I recently shot them out against a pair of Genelec 5-inch speakers that I actually had recently already modified, and I enhanced them. So I had already made these Genelec speakers sound better than they already were. And with that, I shot these modded KRK Rocket 5s, and these Rocket 5s, I threw everything that I could at them, and the results did not disappoint one bit. They easily hung in there with the modded Genelec. So this pair of... Anyway, I'm totally tangenting. Just be on the lookout. I'm going to be doing a full video on these Rocket 5s that I modded. But I'm actually talking about these old event speakers. And I just wanted to say that I shot them out against the Rocket 5s. And the Rocket 5s being, up there with Genelec quality, after my modification. So these Studio 6s didn't quite hang in there. They were a little bit muddy, a little nowhere the amount of detail. The bass didn't seem to extend as low as those other two speakers I was talking about. So that's why I have these here. This guy actually saw my speaker modification that I have listed on Reverb for the KRK Rocket 8s. V8s rather, and he wrote me and asked about this, and he sent them in. So this is the board, and this is what I mostly work on, is the actual amp section of the power monitors. And I can pinpoint some areas in which I can tell you right off the bat why it sounds a little bit muddy. First of all, anytime you see these guys, total horseshit. Nobody putting out quote-unquote pro audio should ever use these cheap ass ceramic capacitors. That's just sinful. And this is right at the input section. So this is the first op amp that the audio gets processed through, and so before it even gets here, it's going through all these shitty sounding ceramics. So obviously I have some work to do. I actually have to very carefully, I think this is like JB Weld glue, so I'm going to have to cut these out in a way that I can actually measure the capacitance and make sure that I replace with the right value. But I'm going to use some good WEMA caps. And here we have your typical low 7.2. Come on, I can't believe. You get they make it so easy for me to do what I do, because people are using these cheap, shitty op amps. I mean, there are worse op amps out there. At least these are Texas Instruments. They are not JRC, which would be even worse. But yeah, they're muddy. They're muddy. They're kind of noisy. They have no detail whatsoever. Yeah, it's just not the best. So these guys, they're decent, but it's actually kind of like an off-brand capacitor. So I'm going to use, I'm going to be using some really, really nice caps here. And most of these are just kind of just off-brand film capacitors. I'll be using a selection of Vishay. I really like Vishay capacitors. Some of the ones that they do are actually right on par with the Wemo capacitors. But I'm also going to use some Wemo capacitors as well. But I'm going to go through and change all these guys out. At least, at least they use a decent sized resistor. I could definitely go through these and probably replace these with Vishay metal film resistors. I'll have to quote this customer for let's see here, not doing the resistors and doing the resistors, because that's going to be a huge that's a huge cost, mostly in labor. It's a big one, but I think switching all these out to the really nice resistors will work really well too. So yeah. All right. So you saw the clip of what they sounded like before. I'm hoping with my day job allowing that I should be able to research this, generate a quote for this guy, and actually have this done maybe within the next 10 days, I hope. And then I will be posting, I'll be taking another video of what they sound like after. So, alright. Okay, so it's been a few days later. Let me just show you the things I've done. Replaced the input capacitors with really great sounding WEMAs, but with this tight space. I had to put them on the other side of the board. Oftentimes, better sounding capacitors will be quite a bit larger than the stock ones, so you just got to do whatever you can to make them fit. Going through all of these, and yes, WEMA's almost always my go-to capacitor. If there is a value that they don't carry, oftentimes Vishay carries a line that is very similar capacitor. In fact, I would say they are actually on par with each other. People may not have shot them out before, but I think Vishay makes them just as well. So here I used them. Here I was able to find a couple pin through op amps that I like, but often, well, of all the op amps that I know that sound awesome, many of them are only available in the SOIC package. So here I have an adapter, and I'm using an op amp that I've been really liking at the front end of the amp section. So Yeah, so I'm going to hook this thing up. I'm going to shoot it out speaker against speaker, so that should be the next clip that you see. So the last thing that I needed to tackle this evening is when these speakers came to me, they both of them exhibited a high-pitched frequency noise, which I knew had to be an RF-induced noise, and first I waited to see if maybe the upgrade would just normally take care of that, but didn't, so I had to do some extra filtering of the power supply. Here you see this 2 ferrite beads. That's the negative side, that's the positive rails. Then, you know, over here, added an extra cat to that power intersection. This is actually the side that handles the low end frequencies, and it handles the high end. So anyways, after I did all this, I turned it back on again, and the noise was gone. I was almost going to try to demonstrate, but the noise was quite a note that you couldn't really hear it over the phone. You know, the phone mic couldn't really pick it up, but you know, it's definitely audible. I guess maybe not everyone would hear that, but to me it was like like what a high-pitched dog whistles is to a dog. Like, it's just like